Welcome back, ninja community and persons that have just become ninja enough to view my materials for the very first time. Congratulations on becoming ninja enough to view my materials. In this video, I'm going to be covering some more with the Nunchucku. I'll probably also show a little bit more with the whip chain or an improvised whip chain. Basically, any weapon that can be improvised in the manner of a Nunchucku. Okay, so if you haven't seen my other videos on some Nunchucku lessons, you should probably go and check those out first. Okay, and before I get into showing more on the Nunchucku, I will go over my quality statement and disclaimer, mostly out of liability, and that of course is that the viewer understands my quality statement, additionally agrees that this video here could be treated as is with ballistic protection, which is in short means I don't have a seal on it, therefore I don't guarantee the techniques and or your application of the techniques. And if you're watching this video with the intention of using any of its content in committing a crime, that is also a crime. Actually using any of my content in committing a crime is an additional crime. Okay, also the viewer understands that this is my intellectual property that I'm allowing others to view. Okay, so the moves covered in my other videos are basically getting someone familiar with the fact that this is a fluid weapon. It starts here, and then I go into some basic moves here, eventually working up to the triangles. Okay, I also highly emphasize on moving. Once you learn one of the most simplest of techniques, simply moving forward and backwards will get you ready to start utilizing the Nunchucku with your footwork, so that when you get ready to start moving, you're already familiar with how to move, or you're already comfortable in that mind frame that you can move while you use them. All too often do some forums or styles or schools start teaching someone to use Nunchucku without moving at all. Like some of them will run through most of the moves without ever having anyone get familiar with moving forward and backwards, just some simple movements. I also cover some double Nunchucku in some of my other videos on Nunchucks. This right here, I will start getting into essentially the chain. There is the chain. Okay, well, before I get into how to use the whip chain in a similar manner, at this point, someone would want to start getting familiar with using the lower body while they're using Nunchucku. Now, a lot of forms and styles do not have kicks that utilize with the Nunchucku, or essentially lower body movements. Some forms have lower body movements that are similar. However, this is not the same thing. This is not a recognized traditional Chinese or Japanese martial arts style. This is my intellectual property, as you might notice that it is very different. First of all, using a Japanese weapon, or a traditionally recognized Japanese weapon, in a more similar manner to a Chinese form, and there are similarities, but they're not the same. The lower body movement here, where I would stop it with my foot, and of course, there are some people who I've seen try to emulate my movements where they are kicking at their Nunchucku. That is not the application. The application is if my opponent had stepped in while I was in the midst of a swing, or say they stepped in and ducked out before I was finished with the swing and I was somehow dedicated, where they had kicked. There are many applications. This movement here would be to block a kick. As I'm not pivoting my right foot, I am simply moving that way. It could block a kick in this manner. Okay, it's not very flashy. It is very similar to a Gurk, however, this is not exactly the same thing. Okay, the diagonal stride being done and then stepping forward is in that application, if my opponent had almost ducked in or would have ducked in some situations, this is moving me forward towards my opponent as opposed to backing up. Okay. Now another one is this way. Okay. The application, and it could be done this way or it could be done this way. The application is the same. If I were blocking a kick, except for I'm coming higher on a higher strike, and I am striking across the knee. At this point, someone has learned that this is a fluid weapon, and you are bouncing it, right? You're bouncing it off of you not actually hitting yourself. So it is very important at this point that someone not practice that earlier on, as if you miss this strike, you're hitting your kneecap, which is a very vital area, very easy to break kneecaps with a nunchucku. Very easy, especially if someone's throwing high kicks. It's very easy to break their kneecap. So, if you've watched the video so far, you should probably hit like hard like a ninja and subscribe to be alerted if you want to do videos on YouTube. I'll keep going with this video here. So, the two moves that I'm adding is simply blocking the kick this way. That is one application. Another application is that I'm actually hitting my opponent's knee, just right there, like right above where I would strike with a nunchucku, right above where I have placed this. And it could go higher, it could go about as far as the groin. Okay, so here's that move again. It is a diagonal strike, stepping forward. It is lower and hitting the bottom of the foot. Now you're hitting the bottom of the foot with the part near the end, not dead on here. As you would notice that if you try to hit the bottom of your foot like that, you could eventually hurt yourself. It's much easier and gives you more speed and momentum to hit a little higher. Okay, so another thing that I'll get into is if you somehow manage to wind up with a nunchucku like this, at this point you would treat it more like a strangulation weapon. Again, I remind you that the viewer agrees that this is not intellectual property, etc., that if you're watching this video with the intention of using its content in committing a crime, that's also a crime. Okay, so as a strangulation weapon, there are some basic moves that can be done from this position with a nunchucku. It's unlikely that you would wind up like that. However, if you were facing another nunchucker and they had wound up trying to disarm you and you wind up in this position, these simple strikes are more along the 0 to 4 feet threat range. And they would look much like this. A simple strike, as you would pivot, would be to hit the side of the head, right? Or you would bring it more forward. Let's back up here. If you was to bring it more forward, you would be hitting, or it would be a strike at the side of their head, right? At the temple. If they were closer, you would be getting ready to bring it back around to try to strangle them or to step in and trap them and strangle them. Okay, so the movement here and then coming back around and hitting this way and doing this. So that movement is very simple and it looks like this, comes back like that. It's not very complicated. But it does not exist with any current recognized Chinese or Japanese martial arts style. Therefore, my intellectual property. So, if you watch the video, you should most definitely hit like hard like a ninja and subscribe to be alerted if you want to do videos on YouTube. And like, comment, subscribe, share. Check out my other videos. You can comment on this video. And I have a Facebook under my artist name or my 10th ninja name, Mel-El. That's M-E-L-E-L. And I have an Instagram, but I'm not telling you what my Instagram name is. You just have to be ninja and go figure that out on your own.